Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Troy here over at AddressTwo. Talked to many of you several times before, so thank you for joining. This is the third Wednesday of March. I believe it's March 15th. Yep, looking at my calendar, it is. Let me make sure it's the third Wednesday. It is. Cool. A couple housekeeping notes. I do record each and every one of our webinars. So if somebody from your team or fellow coworker needs to review what we go over today, please let me know and I'll be happy to send you the recording. Today's demo is our third Wednesday demo, which is the power of email marketing with AddressTwo. First and foremost, AddressTwo is a CRM with a powerful email marketing tool. We'll cover a plethora of information, but I'm going to try to keep it as basic and simple as possible. Give me a second here. Let me open up my monitor so you guys can start seeing my screen. Cool. So today, again, third Wednesday of the month, email marketing. This is one of the most powerful features of AddressTwo. We'll cover everything from just basically sending out your first email to some idea creation, how to send emails, all that kind of fun stuff we'll cover today. Next week is our fourth Wednesday of every month, and that's our fireside chat. That's when we actually fire up the Facebook Live feature, which is pretty cool, as well as any meeting as well. Hopefully we remember to unmute ourselves on any meeting. But anyway, fireside chat next week is a simple sit down chat with myself or Aaron or Nick here at AddressTwo, and we just chat all things CRM, small business, marketing, sales, etc. Not sure who our guest is yet, but we'll figure that out as soon as possible and let you know in an email early next week who that will be. Who that guest will be. It may just be Nick and myself, or Aaron and Nick, or who knows what's going to go on. But again, thanks for joining. If you do have any questions that pop up, there are quite a few callers on here today. So if you do have any questions, please chat them in the chat room. With so many callers and distractions in the background, etc., I do have everybody on mute. Again, for those of you who are just joining, this meeting is being recorded for archival purposes, number one. Also, if one of your coworkers, etc., is unable to make it. I am going to take as much time as I can twofold. I've got a computer that's kind of on its last leg, so programming emails can kind of be sometimes slow and etc. But also, this is one of the more complicated programming-wise things, or not programming-wise things, but the more complicated things to understand. So I'll try to take my time, and we may not get to everything, but I'll cover as much as I can, and if there's anything follow-up that you have questions on, happy to poke around afterwards. So again, going over our bullet points, the first thing I want to talk about is a sender profile. So when you create an email inside of AddressTwo, you need to tell the AddressTwo system who you want that email to be from. So you should be looking at my AddressTwo screen here under my task list, etc. So most of anything that you are going to be doing in the marketing is under the marketing tab regarding email marketing through AddressTwo. The first thing you want to do before you even set up and start composing or playing around with an email inside of the system is tell the system who you want it to be from. And you may have multiple people there at your organization who emails come from. So under the marketing dashboard, here's your main dashboard. If I scroll down to the very bottom here, under campaigns, here is our sender profile section. So in the, for lack of redundancy, the AddressTwo account, we send emails from a variety of people. We send it from AddressTwo, which I think this one is info at. We send from this sales at AddressTwo. We send from team at AddressTwo. Addie even sometimes sends you emails. I'm sure you've gotten a few of those. Aaron here at AddressTwo sends emails out. We also have a drip campaign called the Influence of Marketing that we use for actually marketing efforts. Nick here at AddressTwo sends emails out, as well as I send emails out. Typically, my emails come from Troy at AddressTwo, and they are Tech Tuesday newsletters. Aaron, any sales-related emails go out from her. And then any of our marketing efforts usually either go out from info at AddressTwo or team at AddressTwo.com. So how do you set up a sender profile? Well, again, marketing dashboard, scroll down to the very bottom. Lost my mouse. Hold on. There it is. I'm going to click on the plus button here. And this is where I say who the sender is. Here I set up the sender profile name. This is just simply, hey, so I know this is the team profile, right? That doesn't appear anywhere in who you send it from, etc. It's just so that you know how to recognize who it comes, who you're setting it up as. So from name, I'm going to put the team, and that just says team AddressTwo. So the recipient, when they get it, it says from team AddressTwo, from the email team at AddressTwo.com. Okay, if that's all you do, that's perfectly fine. But there's a few more other advanced features in the sender profile stage here that I would like to go over today. When you create an email in the template builder, you're actually able to merge fields from your information into the template. So for instance, I need to create a first name, my mailing address, 6330. Suite 164. Now here is the other cool thing is I can actually, this is actually valid for, I believe we have some folks here from Televation as well as some folks from Lighthouse CRM, which is awesome. So this is for when I need to share templates. I can create my LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook accounts in here as well. So I would just simply go into here and go to LinkedIn. And I believe it's just backslash, but I may be wrong. So let's just look it up. And there's my company profile. So I simply go in and add my company LinkedIn profile, same with Twitter and Facebook, as well as my website or whatever website I want to direct them to. Maybe I want to direct them to a specific page on my website. So I can go in here. This is my main page, but maybe I want to direct them to our email marketing side. So let's go here. That in, and of course, finish with my phone number. Cool. And again, under the template, you'll see mail merge sender profile, mail merge sender LinkedIn, mail merge sender Facebook, mail merge sender website. And that's what these features are for. This feature here is also used, I believe, for our postcard marketing. So we do have the ability to send postcards and folded cards to recipients through the AddressTwo system, which if we have time, I will definitely go over that as well. So we've covered so far, again, sender profile. I need to tell the AddressTwo system that I want to send my marketing emails from the team at AddressTwo.com, the email address team at AddressTwo.com. And again, these are additional mail merge fields that can be used in your mail merged templates. Those would again be mail merged sender first or sender name, mail merge sender address number 1, mail merge sender address number 2, mail merge sender email, or excuse me, sender website. The last and not, but definitely not least, is I would like to create a sender email signature so that when I finish a, let's just say, sales newsletter, I can insert a mail merge feature of percent signature, all capitalization, percent. What do I mean by that? So I'll pull up my email signature here for you. This is your email signature. I want, when I send an email out, for it to come into my AddressTwo account as well. So I'm going to take this and actually make it my signature inside of AddressTwo for when I send sales newsletters out. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say from, or actually usually most of you know my go-to is regards. Hannah. And by the way, somebody asked me this last week. If I hit return, it'll double space. If I went to single space, it's simply clicking shift and enter on your keyboard and it will single space your information there. And sometimes even years later, I forget that. Oops. I'm at 102. Great. The only other thing I have there is a graphic. If you go back to look at my signature, I have this graphic here. I want to insert that graphic in my signature. So I'm going to go down here and click in my canvas, if you will, and I'm going to click the little icon here that says image. Next, to insert an image into my signature, I'm going to say upload an image from my library. Now, I probably have the image that I want already in my library because I think I've uploaded it before. So I can browse my image library here. Don't. Matter of fact, I know I moved that, so I'm going to save us some time here, folks, rather than go search for it. And I'm going to insert this image into my signature. Now, the first time that I do that, I'm going to hit OK and see what it comes across as. It's actually about the right size, but I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to say 140 or 184, excuse me, hit OK. And that's going to make it down to a more manageable size. Matter of fact, another tech question that I received actually just first thing this morning was, I want to be able to, if somebody wants to click on this image and go to register for our Wednesday webinars, which I believe are already up here. Nope, different one. Wednesday webinars. I want people, when they click on that image, to go to this web page. So I'm going to actually take my URL. I'm going to highlight it all. I'm going to hit Control-C on my keyboard to copy it. Then I'm going to go back to my template here, and I'm actually going to just single click on the image to where it's highlighted. Up here in my toolbar, there's these little links here. I'm actually going to go in and unlink it first, but then I'm going to go in and say, hey, I want that image to go to that website. And when I hit OK, when somebody gets my email and they see that, usually you want to put something like click here to register for our Wednesday webinar. But even if you don't, if they clicked on that image in the email that they got from you, it would take them directly to this page here. Okay, so I've created my sender signature here. Now I'm actually going to delete this one because I already have one created. I'm going to take a quick break here just to see if anybody has any questions so far on creating signatures in the AddressTwo email dashboard. Feel free to chat me up. And again, I have the chat on versus everybody's microphones to cut down on the background noise. Any questions on creating email signatures? Cool. All right. One other thing in regards to email signatures before we move on is I do recommend having multiple signatures. Reason being is that here in AddressTwo, again, if I send a Tech Tuesday as your Director of Customer Success email out, I want it to come from me. It's going to go to a small vat of our database, around 400 contacts, something like that. And I want it to come from me. If Aaron is going to send an email newsletter out to current customers, it's going to come from Aaron. But if I'm going to do some prospecting, or if I'm going to, even if it's prospecting, it probably needs to come from Aaron. But if I'm going to send my monthly newsletter out, or a very large segmented section of my database receives a newsletter, I like to send it from either team @ sales @ or info @ and the reason I do that is that that's a separate inbox for me in my Outlook account. And so that way the bounce backs, the vacation notices, all that kind of fun stuff aren't actually clogging up my current inbox. And so that's why we do send from info @ typically when we send a large based email out. Again, take another quick break. Sorry, guys. I just want to see, again, if you have any questions about sender profiles. Cool. All right. Another basic before we get into sender profiles is, how do I collect emails? How do I get people signing? Karen. Okay, so I did get one pop up on sender signatures. Good old Karen. Hey, Karen. Karen asks, How many sender profiles can you create? As far as I know, that is unlimited as far as sender profiles go. So if you find that different, again, Karen asked, how many sender profiles can you create? You can create an unlimited number of sender profiles, just so everybody knows. Cool. Next point is web form creations. In other words, how do you want, people get on your website, how do you get them signed up for your email newsletter? Well, obviously in previous demos, we've talked about adding people, through CSV uploads individually, etc. But when they go to your website, how do you get them to sign up for your email newsletter? That is through the AddressTwo web form feature. You can create an unlimited number of web forms in AddressTwo, and those again are created under the marketing tab in your dashboard here. Give me just a second. I have a delivery walking in. You should. All right. So what we're talking about here, guys, is the web form creator inside of AddressTwo. So under the marketing dashboard, here is how I create a web form. Web forms, we create very basic. At the same time, they do a lot of information inside of AddressTwo. Web forms can be created by clicking again on web forms. And then the plus button here is I'm telling people what I want to get from them. So in this example, we just want them to simply sign up for our email newsletter. So I'm going to call this email newsletter sign up form example. I put that in there so that I know to go back and delete this later. I hit save. And it's going to pop up a window for asking me what information I want to collect from the person. Typically, if you're asking for somebody to fill out a form and simply so that you can, email them once a month or however often you send out your email newsletter, you really want to ask for minimal information. So in this case, I'm just going to ask for their first name, last name, and I'm just highlighting what I want to capture here, and their email address. That's it for signing up for my email newsletter. And really, you may just want to get their first name and last name. So I've told AddressTwo in this form, I just want to capture, again, first name, last name, email address. Now there's a little more information that I can capture inside of the form creator here. So when that form is filled out, what happens next? So if somebody fills out the form, do I want to notify a user in the AddressTwo system that a new lead has been created? I would say, yeah, absolutely, I do. So for us, email newsletters typically come from Erin. So I want Erin to be notified that somebody just signed up for our email newsletter. So as soon as somebody hits send, Erin gets a note in her email inbox that says, you have a new lead. And it'll say, email newsletter sign up. So Erin is notified. I could then actually add folks to a list. So for instance, you guys are all on my Tech Tuesday newsletter list. So for me, I go in here and I find my Tech Tuesday email blast list. In this example, you would actually put in monthly webinar, or monthly email newsletter or something like that. In this case, I'm not actually going to put them on a list. A little later in our demo today, we'll talk about how to add drip campaigns. So once a form is filled out, number one, it notifies a user that form has been filled out. It adds them to a list. And then I can also do drip marketing, i.e. if you signed up for the free trial of AddressTwo over the period of the 14-day free trial, about every other day or so, you get an email from either me or Erin or with information, little tidbits of information on how to start using your AddressTwo system. And that's what a form can do, is it can actually trigger a drip campaign. Once the form is filled out, do I want to redirect them to a different page? Usually I can do something like redirect them to address2.com/thank-you, or maybe I want to redirect them back to the page they came from. So in this case, I'm going to redirect them to the Wednesday webinar page. The other couple things that I can do with a form is, in this case, absolutely. So if I just ask them for their first name, last name, and email address, maybe on another form, I want to update their current information. So what this is saying is that if I find a Troy at address2.com in the database, that already has phone number, street, city, state in there, do I want to take that and actually merge that with that account? So yes, I do. Last couple of things here is I can actually add a button that says ask each user if they want to indicate, or excuse me, if they want to opt into receiving these. I'd say by really realistically is that you're saying sign up for our email newsletter. I would leave that blank if it was me. Then finally, I say, do I want to capture or CAPTCHA the information? In other words, put a verify this is not a robot. And yes, I do highly recommend that. That helps cut down on web spam, if you will, when somebody gets your form. So highly recommend using the verify code here. All right, so now I've captured the information that I want to capture. Now I just need to generate the code. So if I click on this button here, I'm going to see what that form is going to look like. And then over here on my right-hand side, I'm actually going to see the code that I need to insert into my website. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this code. I'm going to hit Control-C on my dashboard, and I'm going to go to my web page. For this example, I just use my Blogger account here, but obviously you would use your WordPress page or oh, my line's now unmuted. Awesome. All right, sorry about that, guys. So hopefully I'm not sure how much you missed there, but anyway, I've now captured the form here. I'm going to my website here and going to a page on my website where I want to capture that information. So I'm finding this. Here's my demo page that I use. And actually right now, it's already selected for HTML. So I simply hit Control-V to post that code into my website. I can go back to Compose. I see everything that I want here, except that I do want to quickly modify if you're not a graphic designer or website programmer. A couple little quick modifications I can do is I don't want that. I just need their first name, pardon me, last name, email address, comments section, their verify code, etc. And now I have a web form posted on my website where I can go in and obviously edit information if I need to. So in this case, I want to hit that. Maybe I say sign up for our email newsletter below. Boom. I hit update. And now, if we go to view that page on my website, here you go. Now that's the page title. I would change that if it was me, but you'll see an example of the form. Here's the CAPTCHA, and just type that in, hit submit, and it works like just any other form on your website. A lot of people ask me, I've been doing this for quite some time, what are some keys to using AddressTwo? Number one is that make sure you put AddressTwo forms on your website. So again, when they fill this form out, the person will get the email just like they always have, but then instead of having to duplicate their work and go back in and type that information into AddressTwo, that information is already fed directly into the database. And you can do unlimited unlimited codes or unlimited web forms on your website. Okay, guys, so that is the second bullet point of web form creation. Questions? Again, highly underutilized, in my opinion. One thing, if you do have questions on getting your web forms put up on your website, happy to schedule a time where we can chat and I can help you through that too, guys. So just let me know. Tehani, did you get back on here? Let me see here real quick. Doesn't look like she did. Darn. Terry Whitehead asks, thank you, Terry, for your question here. Is it the same no matter what platform you use on your website? For the most part, absolutely. It's really great if you do have a website designer. One of the things that if you have a website designer that designed your website, typically what I recommend is, you simply set up your form. So here's my form. Take this code and email it over to them with a link. Let's say I wanted a code on this or a form right here on this page. Typically my response would be something like this. I go in and send an email and I go in and say, hey web gal, please add this form to my website. For the sake of your web person, please make sure to say, please put this form underneath the graphic video. Right? And you want to send your website person the actual URL to the page you want it on. So I want it on this page. So I'm going to go in here and say, boop, copy, paste. Here is the code for the form. Cool thing is that if you do have a website developer, you could even go in and say, please do me a favor and make the fonts match current fonts on the page. Then you would go in, boop, boop, copy, open that email back up, paste, right? Because what they do is they would go in and they would actually go in and here into the code and change that from veranda to Times New Roman or what have you. And again, that's what a website designer is there for, is to help you, make things match, make them pretty, etc. So cool. I think I just saw another question. But yeah, Terry, that should work on whatever CMS platform you use. If you have any questions, let me know. Karen from Chicago. Thank you guys. I love the questions coming today. This actually helps me get through these a lot faster and make less jokes. Can you attach a free gift ebook to the form? So there's a couple different ways to do that, Karen. One way is here in the form creator is you can actually redirect them to maybe a hidden page on your website where they can download that free gift or ebook or something like that from. Or that's where triggered links or triggered drip campaigning comes into play. So fill out this form and get an email from us with an ebook. And we'll cover that as well here once we get through basic email stuff. But yes, absolutely you can. Again, you can do that through either redirecting them to a page where they can download the form, or once they fill out the form, triggering an email to go out immediately with that ebook or whatever link in the email too. That is all I had to cover basic web form creation. Does anybody have any other questions that I can go over? All right, guys. Well, I'm going to move along. Next bullet point is basic to advanced template creation. All right, this is probably what's going to take us the longest here. So sit back, relax, grab a Dr. Pepper. I just had some shipped in. All right, so we're going to talk about basic email template creation. First thing you ever want to do in email marketing is you want to create the template first. You don't want to figure out who you're going to send. I mean, in the back of your head, I'm going to send this to all of my prospects, or I'm going to send this all to my leads, or I'm going to send this template to you, everybody who is a current customer. But what I do recommend is building the template first and then figuring out who to send it to. That's the easiest way to be able to fix things, go back and do things to the actual template itself. Again, always build your email templates first and then figure out who you're sending it to and sending it out, etc. So in AddressTwo, we have a very basic yet pretty cool template builder. Again, I've gone under the email marketing dashboard. I can either click on marketing directly or dashboard to get there. Here, right at the top of my dashboard are all of my saved templates. I've got 2 pages of those where I can go through and actually find old templates by searching here. Like for me, I know that all of my Tech Tuesday newsletters are under tech, and here's all my Tech Tuesday newsletters. Or I can create a new template. So for me, I click the plus button here and it's going to bring up my template editor. Sorry, I just clicked mute on my button here. All right. This is a blank canvas for you to start designing in. If you're not familiar with email marketing, or if you're in a hurry, etc., we can do things very simply, or you can do things more complex. We start with a blank template. This is your template area here that I'm moving my mouse around really fast in. And here's my template name. I can even give permissions to who can edit and access it. So I can say, hey, just me, super users, and admins have access to this. Or I can say, hey, everybody has access to this template. And we're just going to simply go in and call this template my email, not D-mail, hold on. Email news. I even like to call it draft until I'm ready to actually, use this as a email template. So I'm going to call it draft. This example, I'm going to actually put X beside it because that just means when I'm cleaning up my own account to go through and I can delete this template later down the road. So what are you covering in your email newsletter? Well, I obviously first and foremost want to put my company image here. So I simply take that image, drag it and drop it into my template. It's huge now, but we'll fix that here in a little bit. I'm going to scroll down on my screen here a little bit to figure out what I want to put underneath it. I probably want to put my first thing would be like an introduction or what's hot at AddressTwo right now. So for me, if I have a logo or an image of it, I'm going to put that in there. So I'm going to drag the content down here. And I like to make sure that it's just about that amount of space in between. I'm going to go over a couple things here, simple ideas for content creation as well. For me, this is the only, I shouldn't say this in front of everybody, but truthfully is that this is usually the only thing that I personally create, not necessarily on the fly, but this is the one thing that I personally pay a lot of attention to because this is my first thing that people see. And it's usually some sort of call to action. For this yesterday's newsletter, it was the top 4 things that have changed in AddressTwo. And then right below that, I had, don't forget to register for our Wednesday classes. So again, this is usually the main CTA call to action is what you would put there. And then subsequent ones below that. So that's the first thing. And the example that I used yesterday, we got that one in there. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. The longer your emails, the less likelihood that somebody's going to read through all of it. So I want to keep it simple. So I'm going to add one more little article here. And then maybe for those of you that do product design or product placement, I know we work with quite a few promotional companies. Maybe I'll put feature my newest items at the bottom. And Erin here at AddressTwo, only because she's sitting across from me, likes to put a finishing touch on the bottom of them. So I'm going to actually add a footer as well. So now I've got my basic design in here. This is what my template is going to be. So realistically at this point, I'm going to hit save. It's kind of like, go back and save your content as often as you can so that you know it's in there. And now here in my template, save templates, it's right here. So if I click on this, maybe I decide to today, day 1, I'm just going to put in my template and how I want it to look. Okay, here it is. Day 2, I'm going to start building information into my template. So like I said, here's that image. Personally, we created in Photoshop and overlay AddressTwo, information in there. There's all kinds of free Photoshop tools out there too, folks, that you can use. You don't necessarily have to be a graphic designer to be able to use them. So for us, we use Photoshop and just overlay information into images, etc. So I'm going to double click on the image here to actually put it into the email template. For me, I've got a few of them saved on my in my AddressTwo library. One being like my Tech Tuesday newsletter header is in my newsletter library here. So I scroll down here and I find somewhere in here. Is my Tech Tuesday. There it is. Again, one of the things that I like to do is I hit OK first and hit OK and make sure that that's about what I want it to be. If I don't, I do go back and actually edit the size, etc. So I'm going to lock the ratio here so it's a little prettier. I can add a border around it. Just be aware that to keep your email responsive, that width does have to be about 600 in pixel size and length to keep that responsive. I'm going to hit OK. And now perfect. For me, I try to concentrate on one thing at a time. So maybe I want to add my graphics. So again, I'm going to go in here, click this one. And what I like to do is again, try to find pictures that fit. One of the things you'll find in creating email templates is that that's a square picture. It's like you can't fit a round peg in a square hole type thing. So you want to try to find graphics that actually fit. So this is probably a graphic that's going to fit in there for me. Boom, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Again, upload to library. Personally, I may adjust this a little bit because I know that it's a little wonky in size-wise, but let's go add Wednesday webinar. If you'll notice, it's actually a fairly longer longer graphic. So that's why it actually appears that way versus a full square. But what it does there is it adjusts it so that it stays in ratio, if you will, or in so that your templates are mobilely responsive. Cool. I'm going to take a quick, actually, you know what? I'm not going to add those three. I'm going to go down and add my finishing touch here. And then I see 2 or 3 questions that have popped up. So I'm going to make sure to address those. So again, Aaron has gone in and created a great footer somewhere in here. Where's my footer? Oh, you know what? Last time I stole it from someplace else, so I won't insert my footer. I will, however, go over here and check out these questions. So Terry Whitehead from Greenwood, Indiana says, in one of your tutorial videos, there are 3 headline types. One was a headline with a picture and then a text. Is that no longer available? Picture, then a text. It's a great question. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go back and look at that old tutorial video there, Terry Whitehead. It may have been one of those that I sent to you earlier. So like it could have been this sort of headline here where I've gone in and said email news, right? And personally, what I've done in this particular cell, if you will, is I've gone in and actually just added a graphic. I'll double check that. Maybe I needed to redo my email tutorial video, but I'll go in here and add a quick graphic. Oh, there's my footer. Where's my logo? I don't have my logo saved in here. So in this case, I'm going to choose my file. There's my logo. Upload my image in, click on it, pushes it over here, creates, to answer your question, Karen, yes, it does create that URL. So here's that URL for that. Hit OK. And now I've inserted that in there. Now, again, that graphic doesn't work correctly with here. So you get what you get as far as graphic goes. See how that's a complete square. For me, I would narrow it down to maybe 120. Hit OK. And yeah, so you have to play with it a little bit as far as like putting that information in there. So yes, it does create a URL. Now, again, if I want to make a URL that says click here for more information, and I want to embed a URL, clickable URL link in there, I highlight the image, I go up here to the world, I actually unlink the image URL so that when somebody clicks on it, it takes them to the URL of www. Click on this URL here.com. Cool. There are actually 3 samples in the list to the left. I have no idea, Terry. I'll have to go back and research that a little bit there as far as what there was previously. But if you need any help with that, Terry, I'm happy to take a look at what you're working with and also go back and review one of our tutorial videos, if you will. Interesting. Okay, so the other thing is that obviously I'm wanting to delete this cell. So I'm actually going to click in the cell here. I'm going to say cell and delete that cell, or delete all of them. Control V should get me back. There we go. There we go. I just highlighted and deleted. Bloop. Perfect. Okay, guys. So again, for this example here, one of the things I usually do is this is where I personally type in what I want to talk about to the main points. So for me, it was, tech updates from AddressTwo. I like to finish each section of my template at a time. So for me, I go in and actually delete the lorem ipsum that's in here. I click that. Again, that will move when I do move that, but it'll move back here in a second once I fill in the content. So for me, I use the little bullet points and I said, here is one new improvement in the AddressTwo system. Click this link. Cool. All right. So again, I can actually link to video or anything like that. I use a service called Jing, Jing, to record tutorial videos. I also use a service called Cam Studios. So for me, I want to link this to you a tutorial video listed on our tutorial site. So I'm going to go in here and look up my tutorial video. Side note, as you're perusing tutorial videos, etc., do me one favor. And oh yeah, Karen, I'll go over that too. Do me one favor. When you go into our video tutorials, they are a little small to view on our website. If you need to view them a little bigger, if you actually click play, then click YouTube, it'll actually take you to our YouTube channel. When you do view our tutorial videos, do me a favor, give them a thumbs up. Give them a thumbs up right there. That actually does help with a little social SEO. SMO? Is that what it's called? Social SMO? I don't remember. Anyway, thumb them up, and that'll help me out. But I'm going to take this video here and actually link it to, wrong tab, the text here. So again, I'm going to highlight that text, click this link to view it, hit the world, go to the URL, Control V, copy as and paste that YouTube URL in there, and hit OK. Again, I'm going to keep moving down. So once I've gotten that point, hit return. My bullet point pops up and say, here is another thing we did. One more. And this one is the coolest one we did. All right, so now the thing is that I don't like this text, so I want to actually fix the text to match maybe my maybe the text in my graphic here, which actually I believe is the same. But to change my text, I want to scroll up here and do a couple things. And this is, I'm kind of giving you the easiest way, or I shouldn't say that, the more efficient way to do it. I want to click in Advanced Editor to do this. And in here, I actually want to just highlight this actual section here and change it. So I'm going to say, and you have to play around with this to get it. So I'm going to change this text or font here. It's probably a div. Nope, that's the whole thing. So I'm going to change the whole thing to Comic Sans, which is an awful font. Please don't use it. I'm just kidding. So Comic Sans 12. Right? Now to get it to switch back to look a little better is, there we go. Now I made it too big. Note that I think it runs over here. So see how that doesn't line up. So I'm actually going to go back to my advanced editor here. Paragraph, which should, nope. You got to play with it a little bit, but this is the most efficient way to do it. There, I'm going to make it 11. Exit advanced editor. Yeah, now see how that text now all kind of lines up in the box. Again, you want to take some time. You don't want to be in any big hurry or anything like that to do a newsletter. Now, your text-based news or emails or anything like that, you can pretty much fly through and get it in and out, if you will. But for your monthly newsletters, I do say take some time and then make sure you prepare yourself in time. A lot of times I get a call from somebody and I'm always happy to help, but it's Thursday, the end of the month, and tomorrow's Friday, the last day of the month, and they haven't got their newsletter out, and I'm tied up with about 50 other calls. And unfortunately, I just don't have time to spend 2 hours on the phone helping somebody with that. So make sure you do plan time to create these. Okay, so Karen, to address what you asked is you can personalize these too, right? So this is my email newsletter. It's going to go out to 2,560 contacts. I want to personalize it. I'm going to give you a little tip here, guys, for those of you that have been using it for a while, etc. One of the things, I'd love to say my own database is spotless and clean and beautiful, but even my own database, and I'm a CRM guy, I'll be the first to admit that it's not the prettiest, and it's not the worst, but it's not the prettiest. So one tip I have for you when you do newsletters, I'm going to mail merge in the first name. So here I have this memorized. So for me, I know that it's first name, all one word, capital F, capital N, all one word, underscore, %%. If you have any questions on what can be mail merged in to personalize these, down here at the bottom of my template builder, I can mail merge in the recipient's salutation. So Mr., Mrs., Dr., Ms., etc. First names, last names, their company name, their sender city, or excuse me, my sender city, my sender state, today's date, my signature, my LinkedIn account, my Twitter account, my Facebook account, my website, my phone number, and I can insert the share feature. So share this email with a link to Facebook and Twitter as well. So I can even say, so tech updates from AddressTwo, or, and again, I can go in here. I don't remember what this is, so I'm going to say sender the recipient's company. I see this a lot of times of, Troy, how's things going at insert AddressTwo? In this case, I'm going to say bloop, and it'll say tech updates from AddressTwo for Televation or fundability, etc. So again, I can personalize this pretty well. Personalization works really well in your targeted marketing newsletters versus your monthly newsletters, etc. So just keep that in mind. So that is simple email creation. Now, one of the things I did promise you guys is simple ideas for content creation. So obviously, you should be blogging. I know you've heard that from probably every marketer under the sun, but the truth is that you should be blogging. AddressTwo does have a small business blog. So if I go here and go to our blog, for content creation, usually what we do is here at AddressTwo, somebody is at least blogging once a month, ideally a lot more often than that. But what I like to do is I actually, for the rest of my content, so let's say in here, again, this one's from me. This one I could actually link to a blog, or if I wanted to go in here and actually insert maybe 3 blog articles, I can say, hey, here's 3 blog articles. Because ideally in email marketing, the ultimate goal is to get somebody to do an action, either watch this video or read our blog or come to our webinar. And so I want people to get on my website where they go and read a blog. So in this case, again, we blog, which increases our SEO, search engine optimization. Also, it's just great to be able to include these links in our newsletters. So I'm going to go into this blog here that Aaron wrote back in February. talking all about sales, right? So here's the blog itself. Without reading in too much into it, usually what I like to do is I like to take the graphic here. Whoa, big graphic. Go back. And I'm going to actually save the link, copy link address. And maybe that's where I go in and I got these out of order now, but I can go in and fix that. Boop. So I double click here. That link is there. Hit OK. And there you go. Maybe I want to change it a little bit there. Cool. So then, if it was me, I'd go back over to my blog, sales debriefing. I make it as simple as possible. So I highlight the text, hit Control-C. Then I go in here and I want to actually put that text below the graphic. So right here. Now, when I copy and paste, I want to do a couple things. I want to actually use this, and this will work a lot better than just simply pasting. So I'm going to go in here and say, hey, Control-V. Nope. Didn't quite capture it. Control-C to copy. Now, Control-V. Okay. And there we go. The next thing that I recommend as easy, how do I put this, easy content development for email newsletters is I usually just why or why not. See how that ends in a question? That's perfect. So I'm going to hit Control-C to copy this text. I'm going to go back to my newsletter. I'm going to highlight this section of lorem ipsum. Click on that. Control-V. Yep, that's what I want. Paste. And there we go. So then, ultimately, once they read this, I want them to find out why or why not. I may even add in, click here. Not ear, here. I think my H button stopped working. Yep, there we go. Cool. So now, here's the blog. I'm taking them from their Outlook account, their Gmail account, what have you, and essentially putting them right into my website where they read this, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, they've got an email on or a blog on Twitter. I'm going to click on that, or social media, or what have you. Again, got lost in the AddressTwo thing. Next thing I know, I'm like, who is this company? Well, I'm going to go to About Us, and then I'm going to go to, oh, maybe I should sign up for a free trial, etc. And again, that's the ultimate goal in email marketing, is I want them to do something. So, but ultimately, I want them to spend more time on my website getting to know me. So again, here I've highlighted the text, hit the world button, pasted the URL in. So if this particular content here catches their attention, they can click on that link, go in here and get lost in the squirrel world of AddressTwo, and hopefully sign up for a free trial. Okay, cool. So Karen, next question she asked is, I see where you can insert a YouTube video. Absolutely. So if I wanted to, perfect. So for me, I want to find the YouTube video that I want to insert first. So here it is. So here's the URL. I want to highlight it, hit Control-C to copy it. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to hit the YouTube button and figure out when I insert it. I want to insert it right there. Hit Control-V. Okay. Oops, an error occurred. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work today, but it'll work tomorrow. How's that sound? But yeah, you can do that as insert YouTube videos into templates. Okay. So here's the other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So back to the, sorry, I'm squirrel today. One of the tips that I would give you is, again, as your database grows, one thing that you're going to want to do to be proper is put that comma there after first name. I don't recommend it, because what if you've put somebody in and accidentally deleted their first name? Realistically, when they receive that email newsletter, it'll say comma if their first name is not in the DVD, or excuse me, in the CRM. So that's why I don't include that comma there, just so you know. So I just leave it as first name, so that if I don't have a first name in there, it won't appear as anything. But if I did have that in there and a comma, the recipient with no first name would see comma. To me, I'm speaking right now to my friend Vidian, who is reviewing this video, who has a lot of email addresses but no contacts' first names. So I would just put in first name. Awesome. And give me a second. I need to write a note that the YouTube link is not working. YouTube link in templates not working. Cool. I'll have that fixed hopefully in a day or two. All right. One thing that you can also do is preview information in here. When you hit the preview button, I do recommend clicking here so that you can preview what it'll look like on most desktops. So on a desktop, this is what it would look like. Then I also want to see what it would look like on my mobile phone. This is it trying to be like a mobile phone the best it can be. But the best way you can do this, and some people do it this way, I don't like to, especially if I use mail merge features, but in the preview functionality here, you'll see at the bottom where I can actually send a test newsletter to myself. This actually does not merge. This does not merge mail merge features in. So when I test an email template out to myself, I actually have myself as a contact in my own database. So I like to test them before I send them out. And when I say test, I not only open it up, I'm an Outlook user. I not only open it up on Outlook on my laptop, but then I also open it up on my cell phone as well to test the mobile responsiveness, to make sure links look good, etc. So here I find all 5 accounts of Troy Hanna. To make it quick, I can actually go in here to this little email icon here. It's going to open up in a new tab. Where I say, hey, here's the one person I want to email. Add contact to recipient, email design, find that newsletter, which I actually didn't save before I decided to send it, but we'll keep moving on. So then once I've done that, I go down to the very bottom of my page and I hit send email. When I do that, I get the email. I can test my mail merge features of first names, last names, etc. So again, I do recommend testing that first. All right, I see Terry has a great question. So if you want to include your Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, you can use those icons and link them. Absolutely. So back here in my template, if I wanted to insert my Facebook icon, I can go boom here, here, and here. Note that when it pops up, it's saying I'm linking it to my sender LinkedIn account. So this is linked to, I go back to my dashboard. Those are linked to under me these 3 spaces here. I don't actually have mine linked, but if I did, it would be linkedin.com/company/AddressTwo, twitter.com/AddressTwo, facebook.com/AddressTwo. And so again, that's how I would make sure that those are linked, is because I have them merged into my sender profile. All right, so we talked about that. We're going to send that test email newsletter out. It's come back. I'm thinking it looks good. I've tested all my links. So by that I mean, let's see here. Just pull up an example here since I actually didn't send that test newsletter myself. But when I got that newsletter, I've tested to make sure that those URLs that we've talked about. So that's a bad example. Sorry, guys. Let's use yesterday's email that went out. All right. So yesterday, before you 251 folks got this newsletter, I got it myself as a test newsletter here. And I tested to make sure that when I clicked on that button there, that picture opened up. I went back to view contents and I checked every single one of the links. Here's a video. So I clicked on that to make sure that it goes to that video page. Sure, I did. There we go. I think I have too many things open up here. There it is. Boom. And again, I got that email and just tested the whatever out of it. Here, making sure that it goes to my sign up page. Here's my sign up page. This is the link for today's email. It's gone. And just made sure that it looks good. Graphics were fine. I didn't misspell anything, etc. So that is how I tested it and made sure it went out. I'm going to answer your question here in just a second, Karen. Lastly, but not leastly, is how to get it out of your system. So your monthly newsletter is what we're covering. Monthly newsletters, in my opinion, should go to everybody in the system. So for me to get this newsletter out, I click on marketing and I say, I'm ready to send email. So I click on send email. I've got my template. I've tested it. Links work, ready to go. I want to send this email to you. And again, we covered this in week 2 as far as the query functionality. But remember, I always think to myself, anybody whose contact email address is not blank. And again, I want to make sure that I send it to emails where their status is opted in. And for me, on my Tech Tuesday newsletter, I actually say, I want to send this to just this list. So the contact is in my Tech Tuesday newsletter list. So you have to realize who you're going to send it to. I hit search. I'm going to send it to 259 contacts. So for me, I'm going to hit add contacts to recipients, but then I'm going to take a step back. And this is where I get into a little bit more advanced usership, is I want to clear this, but I still want those 259, but then I also want to email any of my current prospects. So same thing, email's not blank, status is opted in, but then I change one of my search criteria here to say, I want to find them where their status is free trial, and they created it in the last month. So I actually want to clear that. So I'm going to go back here and say custom fields, their status is free trial, their email is not blank, their email is opted in, and it was created in the last month, i.e. they're still not a paid customer, but they're in and using it. So I'm going to go in here and say was created later than, so that was the 15th of March is today. So I want to say the 15th of February. So I hit search here, 27 new contacts. So remember, this is my list, but then I also want it to go to these 27. So I simply go in and say add recipients. Now it's at 286. So now I know who I'm going to send it to. Lastly, I have to tell it what to send. So I go up to the email designer. I come up here and say, send my Tech Tuesday 314 newsletter. There it is. I put in my subject line, 4 simple updates, A2 Tech Tuesday, right? Next, I go over here and say, hey, I actually composed this on Monday because I was out of the office yesterday. So for me on Monday, I actually clicked here and scheduled it for Tuesday. So I want this to go out on Thursday. I want it to go out at 9 o'clock a.m. I do encourage you to research your target industry as far as customer or prospect goes and find out when, or research a little bit when the best time to possibly email them is. I already chose my template. Then remember when I said you create a sender profile. So in this case, I'm going to send it from Troy. And when I do that, again, if I was to insert my sender signature, down here, %% signature. Again, I just have these memorized, and one day you will too. This will actually, when I send this, it'll say Troy Hanna, AddressTwo 317, all that fun stuff right at the bottom. And that's what that %% signature is. That's why I do highly recommend that you double check and make sure that you actually have the correct sender profile chosen. Again, I chose to send this out tomorrow at 9 a.m. I go down here to the bottom. There's a few more options that you have available. One is I can check my deliverability rating. So I can click this. Right now it says 4%. So 4% chance of it being spam. So it says here there's some suggestions on things you could change. So I have one or more images without alt texts. So in other words, if I click on this, I can go in here and say simple CRM. Okay. Again, click on this and say attach to. Okay, so I can go through that and try to get that rating down. I had a friend once call though and say, hey, I have a spam rating score of 20 and I can't seem to get it down. For recommended is that as long as you can get it below ideally somewhere between 25 and 30%, you should be fine as far as your send goes, and you should still be able to send it no problem. Now, next thing in sending is that I can write a pre-header snippet. What does that mean? Well, let me show you an example here. Here's my Outlook account. This is a newsletter. This is who it's from, but this is their pre-header snippet, driving success through. Now, if I expand, I see more. So driving success through engagement. This is their pre-header snippet is what they put in there. So that's what a pre-header snippet is. I don't know what that is. I'm kind of an email snob and like to keep my email inbox clean. So there we go. So that's what a pre-header snippet is. For me, I think it was Tech Tuesday updates from Troy, right? If you send a lot of email to .govs.edu's highly regulated email recipients, I would select prepend with a link to view in browser. And if I accidentally went ahead and did all this, created the campaign and went, oh man, I didn't save this as a template, your last option is to save it as a new template. Again, recommended that you build the template first, then send it out. But if you screw up and create the template and then are ready to send it, you're like, oh gosh, I didn't save that template. There's one little fail safe there where you can actually save that as a new template. Last but not least is that I hit send email, and tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., 289 emails will be blasted out of the AddressTwo system to anybody who was a free trial in the last month or is signed up on my Tech Tuesday email newsletter list. Okay. We've got it out the door. So now I'm going to come back and answer Karen's question here. Could you set up more than one Facebook, Twitter, etc. accounts or Facebook groups? Yes, this is simply it's almost like the mail merge feature here, Karen. But if you wanted to, you could go in and pull a graphic, if you will, that says, click here for our Facebook group, click here for our Facebook page, etc. I would do something like drag this in here to kind of play with it to figure out where it goes. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to hit OK. Okay, put it there, whatever. Again, you got to play with it, and I don't want to take too much of everybody's time, but I'm going to put all these in here. Okay. All right, so for sake of time, I'm going to delete that. But see, if I click on here, I can actually go in and say, edit link. Maybe. Oh, now I got ahead of myself. And I can just remove that, Karen, and then type in the URL for that Facebook group or what have you. That's just another option as far as, that's your sender option. Again, you can go in and actually, put in a new Facebook, link to like us on Facebook, and then just actually put as many different social media links in there as you want. Whew. Any questions, guys? All right. Well, now I've gone plenty over time, but I think we're killing some good birds with stones. So bear with me here, guys. If you do need to hop off, I completely understand. But let's keep plowing forward. So the one of the final things that I'll go over here in basic emailing is how to set up drip campaigns. One of the things that you would do is you would click on marketing here. And again, I do recommend when you do a drip campaign, create your template first. That way you can test it, make sure that it looks good, make sure that you're happy with the links that are in there. So I'm just going to use one example here since I'm running quite a little bit over time here, but I'm just going to call this, drip temp 1. I'm going to add my headline with a little bit of text. I'm actually going to right click and use an example here to change that to a different color so you guys can see this. So I right clicked and I want this cell properties to be gray. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say choose my border color and I'm going to find a gray. You also can put in your hex number here if you have a color that you want to match. And in this case, hit OK. And now my border is that color, but I want the cell to be that color. So let's go and say cell properties. Background color. There we go. Change that to red. Cool. So you'll mess with that a little bit, but again, I want to move on because I am going quite a bit over. So this is my template number 1. I've created it. I do again recommend creating it in the template editor so that you can test it. I've tested it, links work, etc. Scroll down to the bottom here and hit save. And now I want to build my drip. So like you had asked Karen about a white paper, let's use that as an example. So in that drip, I'm going to go back to it here real quick. I would say, hey, thanks for enrolling in our newsletter. Click here to download. Okay. For attachment, you can't do attachments in mass email marketing. So for attachments, I use Google Drive personally. I also use a thing called AddressTwo. AddressTwo is a free service of AddressTwo. So you can actually, how do I put it, track your files that are being opened. So I'm going to log into my AddressTwo account here. I've got a file that I want to track, so it would be called AddressTwo file here. I can get a public link. Here's my link to that white paper. I highlight the text, world, boom, boom. So when they click that, it'll open up an AddressTwo where they can either view it on their screen or download it if they want to. And that's all tracked. So for instance, this morning I actually sent an email at 8:30 to a friend of mine at Tulsa, and he looked at it for 4 seconds. So I think he probably opened it and said, I'll look at that later. But then at the same time, I sent an invoice a couple days ago to a customer who opened it and looked at it for 3 minutes at 6:37. And actually a couple days before that, looked at it for 1 minute. And a couple days before that, another minute, and saw it that day. So again, that's what AddressTwo does. So now I've got that here, so again, if I've created that that web form, once they fill it out, immediately it sends out that drip campaign to download that free that free white paper. How does that happen? So in here, I go to campaigns and I call this my white Man, my typing is atrocious. I apologize. White paper drip. I hit save. I go here. I choose what the first drip is, and the first drip is an email. I hit go. I find that template that I've tested, made sure that the white paper downloads. So I have tested it all out. I've got it as a saved template here. Boom. I don't think that's the right template, but it'll work. I say here, page. I choose to send it from Troy. Immediately, scroll down to my bottom. I hit save. It'll take me back to that template builder where I can actually add more into the drip if I would like, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to scroll up here. I'm going to add one more as an example for you guys. So immediately they get that email that says, here's the white paper, but then maybe a week later, I want to call them. So I've assigned myself a task. I hit go. I say, follow up. Did they like my white page? I assign it to the account manager and I make it 7 days later. I hit save. So now I have an email drip built that says day 0. So immediately when the drip is triggered, they get that email that says, here's the white paper. 7 days later, the account manager of the contact gets a task that says, follow up with them and see if they liked it. Either they call them, email them, what have you. That's their choice. There are 2 ways. Well, there's actually 3 ways, but for sake of time, I'm going to tell you the 2 ways to trigger a campaign. Way number 1 is manually by going in and saying, hey, David. Go into David's account here, into his account card, and I can immediately go in here and say, I'm going to trigger that drip. In the account card itself, under the left-hand side, you'll see campaigns where I can hit the plus button to manually enroll David in a campaign. So I click that and I say, hey, I want just David to get the white paper drip campaign from Troy immediately. So I'll set it as today. I hit execute. And if I was to do that, David would get a weird email from me that he would call and question. And then he would also immediately on my task dashboard in 7 days from today, so on the 22nd, would appear, I need to give David a call and ask him if he liked our white paper. So that is the first way to trigger a campaign. And again, okay. So I've gone into, this is manually adding a contact to a trigger, Karen. And so in the contact card itself, I go down here to the campaign section in the contact card and hit the plus button. In here, it'll say, who do you want in this contact card to get that campaign? So for this case, I want David to get it. I select which drip campaign I want him to get. So I want him to get the white paper drip campaign. I choose who it's coming from, the execution date, hit execute, and David immediately would get a weird email from me, and 7 days from now, I would get a task on my task dashboard to reach out to him. That is manually triggering a drip. What you asked about was here in a web form. Now that I have that drip created, which was this one here, I just clicked to see who filled it out, not actually edit the form. So in here, if I click the pencil button, I can go back and edit this form so that when somebody signs up for our email newsletter or the white paper, I get their first name, last name, and email address. Aaron is notified that the form has been filled out. I add them to the downloaded our white page list. Then here is where I say download white paper or white paper drip. I redirect them. I update their information. I have automatically opted them in. And the web form includes a verification code. When this web form is placed on my website, and if Karen Williams from Chicago was to go in and say, Karen Williams, Karen@chicago.com, comment, put in the verification code, hit submit, immediately Aaron gets notification that the web form has been filled out. Immediately, you get added to the list inside of the AddressTwo CRM, and immediately that first email that says trigger on day 0 goes out that says, here's your white paper. I also then, as soon as they fill out that form, they get redirected back to another page. 7 days from today, I get a task on my task dashboard that this person has viewed our white paper, and I need to contact them and see what they thought. That is how to trigger a trigger a drip campaign from a web form. Whew. My apologies, guys. I've gone way over time, but I think I've covered a ton of information. I'm going to stop because I want to be, cautious of my time with you guys. And at this point, I'm going to say it's a day, but I'm going to say it's a day for what I've covered so far and see what else you need me to cover. So you tell me, Karen, Terry, I know Adrian's on here. What else can I cover for you guys? Are you guys ready to get the last few things done that you need to get done in the office and call it a Wednesday afternoon? Edward's on here as well. So hi, Edward. Adrian or Karen, any other questions that you may have? I have to laugh. I think I just got an email from somebody that said their head was going to explode. Thanks for all the information. I had to drop out because my head was starting to explode with way too much information. So probably went 20 minutes over, but I feel like we killed a lot of stuff off there. So again, I'm going to check my chat menu here, guys. Cool. Excellent, Edward. Well, I unfortunately was out yesterday, but I've got that on my to-do list to check in and see when we can get you migrated, and I will definitely let you know what day we're going to do that. Yeah. All right, guys. Hopefully I didn't make anybody else's heads explode, and you guys can finish up your day today and finish up with a great week. Again, please don't forget to join us on Wednesday next week with our cheesy, fun, and informative fireside chat. Hopefully you guys will be back. Don't forget to please come back to these. It doesn't hurt to come back to the basic beginning demo the first of every month. It doesn't hurt to come back to the advanced demo every month. Like you guys saw today, we have different people that attend who ask great questions, maybe things that I wasn't going to cover, maybe things that I've never covered before. So again, please make sure that you do come back. Also, one last favor, if you do watch our tutorial videos on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, and then make sure to like, share, and follow us on all the fun social medias that are out there. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. If you do need a video copy of this recording, happy to email that over to you. Have a great day.